I want to tell you a little bit about the latest situation in our campaign to defend decent pensions in the fire service. As you know, the coalition government has embarked on a wide-scale attack on public sector pensions, trying to force people to pay more, work longer and get less at the end of it. We're part of the campaign to defend decent public sector pensions. In the fire service, we've made the argument that pensions have to be based around the industry in which we work. They're called occupational pension schemes, and that means they have to be based around the occupation that we're engaged in. As you know, firefighting is a physically demanding occupation. And that's why we think the government's plans are seriously flawed. When the government changed pension schemes in 2006 and introduced a new scheme with a pension age of 60, they had no evidence to support that. And likewise today, the government who are proposing to change everybody's pensions from 2015 also have no evidence to support their case that people can work till 60. So the FBU has been leading the campaign against these proposals. We've done an enormous amount of research, we've commissioned work from occupational health specialists, we've studied fitness standards, we've looked at pension schemes in the UK, but also across Europe, North America, and internationally generally. We're doing that research to ensure that we've got the best case possible to put to the government about why we need good quality occupational pension schemes. Currently, there are 2 reviews underway as part of the government's response to our campaign so far. We've made the case that pension contributions for employees are already extremely high in the fire and rescue service. The majority of our members are already paying 11% of their salary as pension contributions. That's far higher than is generally the case elsewhere in the public sector and far higher than is generally the case in the private sector. And yet the government want to increase that further. We've argued that if they make the pension scheme unaffordable, people will increasingly choose to leave the scheme. The scheme will become unviable, and the government's claims to want to ensure decent public sector pension schemes will be completely undermined.
The pension that we receive is part of our social wage. It's part of the wages. We've paid for it over the years, and it's something that people deserve as of right. It's not some benefit, it's what we paid into, so we deserve it. The government's taken a view that the pension is basically something that they can cut easily to pay for this economic crisis. But we all know as FBU members that the pension is part of our wages. We paid for it, and it's there as of right. It's not a benefit, it's something that we've paid for over the years, and therefore we have a right to. We know also that pensions are affordable. We're the 6th richest country in the world, but in addition to that, the Hutton Review demonstrated that our pensions, actually the overall cost, was declining over the years. So therefore we're in negotiations with government now, and I think we've forced them to the table, both in terms of pension retirement age, where they realise having firefighters staying on to their 60s and is ludicrous. I think we'll win that argument. But in addition to that, we're in negotiations with them about the basics of the pension itself. And again, what we'll seek to do is protect our members' pensions, because at the end of the day, if we're not careful, we will have a pension scheme that is valueless, and therefore less and less people enjoying it. It will undermine the overall pension scheme, and we'll have our members retiring to live in poverty. That's how serious this struggle is.
The government has agreed to review the impact of increased contributions on the possibility that people might choose to opt out or leave the pension scheme. The government has also established a review on the issue of pension age. That review is already underway and being led by Dr. Tony Williams, appointed by the CLG Fire Minister. Dr. Williams has already met with ourselves representing the employees and with representatives of the fire service employers. The FBU has done a huge amount of research on the question of pension age, looking at physical fitness standards in the fire service, the impact of ageing on fitness standards, and the various policies that are in place all over the UK and indeed internationally. We've collated more evidence than anyone else in the fire and rescue service, we believe including the government themselves. That review under Dr. Williams is due to report sometime towards the end of the year. The FBU will be submitting evidence to that review and will be publishing that evidence on our website. I hope it's clear that the campaign on pensions is far from over. There's a lot more to be done. A lot of work in collating and submitting evidence to the 2 reviews, but also to continue to lobby politicians, making the case that we're the people who understand the fire and rescue service, the evidence supports us, and the idea that they can increase pension age to 60 is simply not sustainable. There's a lot of work you can do to support that campaign as well. We'll be asking you to lobby politicians at local and national level, whether they're members of Parliament or the Assemblies or the Scottish Parliament. We want to make sure that politicians in the fire service and nationally politically understand the case we're making for decent occupational pension schemes in the fire and rescue service. Please follow the information that we send out to fire stations and other workplaces and the information that we place on the FBU website.